Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it is time for this month's broadcast of Chicago Junction, the program that takes you through the wonderful world of trains with the help of our panel of knowledgeable foamers. I am your host, Brian Valou, and here is our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, May the 12th, the year 2021. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Oh, thank you, John. Now let's meet the rest of the panel here. My name is Brian Valou. I am a rail fan, retired Navy, and from railroad engineer, conductor. I play with Lionel O-gauge trains, outdoor trains. In fact, the Chicago Botanic Garden is open, railway is open for business if you want to play outside. And I also volunteer for Operation Lifesaver. And on my right
is Doug Kenyuk. I'm a rail fan, an N-scale model railroader, adjunct professor at the local college, and officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago, which if this gets out in time, we're having a meeting next Friday, a week from Friday.
I'm Dave DeRuska. I don't do none of that stinking model railroading. But I am the vice president of the Black Hawk chapter of the National Railway Historical Society, as well as their program director. I am the Chief Mucky Muck of Chicago Railroad History Month, and we're back in business again this year. Sent in another application to the city of Chicago for a proclamation proclaiming October Railroad History Month. And I do our Facebook page.
I'm Ron Stock, retired library director at from Eisenhower Public Library, serving Norwich Harwood Heights. Foamer, HO modeler, and overall train nut.
Okay.
Brian was tightening some nuts there. But...
Oh, yeah. Anyway, would you like to start off, Dave?
Yeah, I'm at the head of the table.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. There our normal, I've dubbed him our Chicago Junction special agent, Kevin Barry, due to his previous police employment. He is not with us this evening.
Thought he was the head of security.
Yeah, he's head of security.
Or is that insecurity? I don't know.
Okay, we'll start off here with the Chicago Northwestern Archives Research Center to be located at the Illinois Rail Museum. IRM is pleased to announce that it has reached an agreement with the Chicago and Northwestern Historical Society to locate a new building housing the Society's historical archives at the IRM campus in Union, Illinois. The building will be located on IRM's Main Street, where it will join other historic and new build structures, along with a replica 1950s street scene. It will be formally known as the CNWHS Archives Research Center. Society goal for the building is to provide long-term home for its preservation and education efforts relating to the Chicago and Northwestern and associated railroads. So, that's what's going on out there at Union. Now, this is a long time coming. I went to the CNNWHS annual meeting, I think a year ago, and they weren't even sure if this was going to happen. Something happened, there was an agreement, then there wasn't an agreement, and now there's an agreement, so everybody's happy. Next, Watco to purchase former Wisconsin Central lines from the Canadian National. Watco Companies has agreed to purchase approximately 900 miles of the former Wisconsin Central from Canadian National in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ontario, the two railroads announced today. And this is back in the 12th, no, quite a bit ago, but anyways. CN announced last year that it was putting much of the former Wisconsin Central, including the Algoma Central, on the chopping block. The sale includes the Sioux Line subdivision, approximately 250 miles of track from Sault Ste. Marie to Oba, Ontario, and about 650 miles of branch lines in Wisconsin and Michigan. The transaction will need approval from the U.S. Surface Transportation Board. In Ontario, Watco will continue freight operations as well as the Agawa. Is that how you pronounce it? Agawa? Agua?
Algoma
Algoma
Central.
Oh, yeah. It's Canyon Tour Train. Watco's also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Missinaibi, boy, all these hard words, Cree First Nation regarding partnership opportunities for the Algoma Central Railway. And there's a map if anybody's interested. I'll show it over here.
And they're going to lease some of the southern tracks in Wisconsin. Are going to be, after they acquire them, are going to be turned around and given to the Wisconsin Southern.
Oh.
And then the tracks they pick up in Michigan are going to Grand Elk. And Grand Elk has to pick it up because Michigan has a law against LLCs acquiring track. Yeah, we had a good laugh on it last time.
Both the United States and Ontario, CN will continue to play a central role as the transferred segments will remain connected to CN's tri-coastal network, safely and reliably linking businesses to markets around the world. Isn't that nice? Amtrak has chosen Siemens for their manufacturing of a new fleet of 83 intercity train sets, ICTs, which will provide dual power in many instances and modern rail amenities to better serve all Amtrak customers. The ICTs will operate on the Northeast Corridor, Palmetto, and various state-supported routes and will replace the current Amfleet 1 Metroliner cab and Cascade service fleets. Yeah, they cut all those Cascade cars up, didn't they? Accompanying the contract to manufacture the train sets will be a long-term service agreement for technical support, spares, and material supply. New state-of-the-art equipment will not only provide Amtrak customers with an enjoyable and efficient travel experience, it will also enable us to improve safety, increase passenger capacity, and reduce carbon emissions. Boy, all those good things, said Amtrak CEO Bill Flynn. Amtrak has targeted the summer of 2021 for contract execution and notice to proceed and will spend the time between now and then continuing negotiations with Siemens for this generational procurement. News from Metra. This is as of April 19th. Union Pacific finally caves and agrees to start collecting fares on Metra trains again. Isn't that nice? Just when I was starting, this is written by John Greenfield in Streets blog. Just when I was starting to wonder if Union Pacific Railroad was ever going to return collecting fares on the 3 commuter rail lines it operates from Metra, today both entities confirmed that conductors will begin checking tickets on those lines again starting Tuesday, June 1st. Union Pacific has a long-standing agreement with Metra to operate its UP North, Northwest, and West lines, the routes that terminate at the downtown Ogilvie Transportation Center, whose tracks UP owns. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Union Pacific has been citing the coronavirus as a reason to not have conductors collect fares from customers on the 3 lines or even walk through the rail cars, although conductors on other Metra lines have been doing so for many months. Metra says UP's failure to collect fares is costing Metra $1 million a month. Some riders have complained that the lack of conductors and fare collection on the UP lines has led to somewhat Wild West conditions on Metra. Oh, it's like conditions on the Metro Electric all the time.
What's new?
Now, hey, guess what, Northsiders? This is what it's like on the South Side, including lack of compliance with mask rules, suspected gang activity, and even a report of someone urinating in a train vestibule.
No.
Oh, gosh.
Shocking.
Isn't that horrible?
Oh.
We ever see...
We're talking Metro, right? Not CTA.
Right. You'd have to have worked on the electric district to know
definitely.
that was a regular, no bathrooms? Hey, we'll just go wherever we want.
You'd be surprised what comes under the door.
Yeah, and
at
even-
the engine cab.
I know. We have received,
Yes, you remember.
we have received many complaints from customers who feel the absence of conductors on Union Pacific trains has resulted in behavior from other passengers that would not otherwise be allowed or tolerated. Metro spokesman Michael Gillis told me in late January. Let's see. A railroad insider told Street Blog Chicago that Union Pacific's recalcitrance is actually a symptom of its long-standing feud with Metra, a strategy to bleed Metra dry in order to pressure the transit agency to pay up and take operation for the three lines. Union Pacific filed a lawsuit to try to force a deal in December 2019. Metra sued last summer in an effort to move the dispute from federal court to the U.S. Surface Transportation Board. In October of 2020, Metra ratcheted up the conflict another notch with a new lawsuit accusing Union Pacific of breach of contract, arguing that UP is guilty of severely damaging Metra's bottom line, reputation, and customer experience by an arbitrary and capricious refusal to have conductors collect fares and complete other onboard tasks. Boy, that sounds like a mouthful of lawyerese. The fact that Union Pacific is finally budging on the fare collection issue may be a sign that the two entities may be on the road to settling their differences. Highly doubtful. I first heard the news from Transit Black Belt Catherine Hodges, who I know on Facebook, who has ridden every Metro line to its endpoint. Oh boy, we have an expert. She rode every Metro line. Woo. Let's see. Michael Gillis confirmed the info but declined to discuss why Union Pacific agreed to collect fares again. That's something you should let UP explain. Union Pacific employees have been working in the train throughout the pandemic, UP spokesperson Robin Teisver told me. Due to vaccine availability, we believe now is the appropriate time to resume pre-pandemic onboard fare collections effective June 1st. Our employees will continue to wear masks and follow CDC and Illinois Department of Health guidelines. We have notified our employees of our plans and we continue to provide them with information on how and where they can receive vaccines before June 1st. So, and let's see what else. I'll take a break. Move on to somebody else.
Okay. I have a couple of books that I want to talk about. The first one is called Caboose Cooking. It's a 154-page spiral-bound book with recipes that were used by the chefs in a caboose. And the various chapters are bread, desserts, main dishes, miscellaneous, side dishes, and soup and salad. I got this at the Desplaines Hobby Shop, which is located at near Manheim, Lee, and Oakton. And the book costs $11.95. The standard international book number is 1-571667741, which if you type that in Amazon, you should be able to find it. Also, you should be able to find it by the Caboose Cooking. The author is Jim Brown, and it's a 2020 edition, and they have all these various recipes that, for example, the homemade dumplings, butterfly pork chops, stewed tomatoes, homemade noodles, stuffing, meatloaf and potato casserole, pork chops baked, railroad pie, roasted chicken, and rhubarb casserole.
I knew a few stewed conductors in my time.
Yeah.
Well, the stewed tomatoes, probably not the recipe I'm thinking of.
No. Anyway, it looked kind of interesting. I'm going to go through it, look at it. I like making different dishes. Maybe I'll find a recipe or two that I'll attempt to make, and if it's successful, I'll let you know in upcoming issues. The second one, which I was always interested about but didn't know much about, is the book title. It's put out by Model Railroader, Guide to Industry series. The Model Railroader's Guide to Iron Ore and Railroads. And I was always curious as to why the cars, they didn't use coal cars. They just figured, hey, coal car, put iron ore in it. Except the iron ore, which I should have known from my chem classes, is a lot heavier than coal. So,
Just a skosh.
Yeah.
Now, in Wisconsin Central, when they gave us ore in coal cars, and they only filled it up like a third to a half. It couldn't-
Really?
Yeah. Oh, if they would have filled it all the way up to the top, we
The
would have
train
never
would
made
never
it.
make it.
No, it would have been in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, it's put out by Kallenbach, and it's a very extensive. It has 6 chapters. Chapter number 1 is the iron ore industry and railroad history. Iron ore mining is chapter 2. Chapter 3 is iron ore railroads. Chapter 4 is ore cars, and chapter 5 is the docks and the Hewitt unloaders. And the last chapter is train operations. And some of the major railroads that did do iron ore were the Sioux Line, Great Northern, Northern Pacific, the Mesabi Range, the Lake Superior iron ore, and they talk. It's very well done. The author on it is Jeff Wilson, who's written many model railroading books, and also he writes real well. I like his writing. And anything you want to know about iron ore has it in there. And one of the things that they first started out with iron ore, but then later on they managed to find an easier way of shipping it. The iron ore went to a refinery in which they made. Let's see if I can find it.
Pelletized it.
Contactonite.
Yeah,
pellets.
Talcanite.
Yeah. And basically little pellets about the size of a marble, it looks like. They have pictures of it. And
Even smaller.
yeah,
Sometimes.
maybe smaller too. And it was kind of interesting because there were different weather conditions provided. Sometimes it would stick because it rained and the ore would get stuck in the car, so they had to have guys with big scoops chiseling it out. And they didn't like that too much.
I wouldn't want to get on the top of
Yeah.
iron ore pellets and try to knock them out.
No.
End up with them.
Yeah. Anyway.
We had a
so-
conductor on the Northwestern who was one of the early recyclers of cans, and he would pick up pellets along the tracks and put them in the cans and crush the cans
Oh.
to increase the weight of the cans. Then the recycling place finally figured it out
Oh.
and banned them.
Well, they had a couple of pictures, and God, those pellets were all over the place, and they were like almost up to the rails.
They're like
in
ballast.
spots. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose they'd come along with a magnet and pick it up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that when they did refine it and all, it made it easier going to the steel mills.
Right. And also, I think it despite the fact that they still had to occasionally shovel it out, it was a lot easier than just the iron ore, dumping it into the docks and at piers in Minnesota. Basically, it was Minnesota, Michigan, and were the two major iron ore ranges. They had about 6 to 8 different ranges that they used, and Chicago Northwestern was another railroad that the Duluth Mesabi iron ore was a major one, and of course it's still being produced today. Quite a bit of iron ore is. They said 90% of the iron ore today comes out of Michigan and Minnesota.
Yeah, plus, it's not as pure as it used to be. You know,
Yeah.
they're in some of the mines they've reached the end. You know,
Yeah.
and so they're digging up the leftovers.
Right.
so that pelletizing is even more important to get all the impurities out.
Right. So anyway, but I found it quite fascinating. Very, very, very interesting what they ended up going through to mine it, carry it, ship it, and I also found out why they call them Jennies, the smaller ore cars that they always had. So that was pretty cool. There was in the number 4 issue, the last issue, 2020, Northwestern on the cover had Gil Reed's Chicago Northwestern Christmas artwork, and they had a couple of page article of it, and with about 5 or 6 of his drawings, and his artwork is really nice. I'm sure if you get the Leaning Tree, I think it is, cards, they will have, I'm sure, 1 or 2 of his cards reproduced. So anyhow, it's he did the Chicago Northwestern, so that was pretty cool.
Did he do the Pensy calendars too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gil Reed did Pensy, along with. I'll have to pop some more pills.
I didn't know there were pills for that problem. I know there are pills to make it worse.
That's why I need it. I seem to think better.
So that's the Northwestern Lines, the Chicago Northwestern Historical Society.
Right.
Right.
And
are you a member, or do you just get that on the bookshelf?
Right. It's on the front cover of his one of his pictures, which they repeat inside, and it's the 2020 issue, number 4, and it runs for $12. So if you go to some of your hobby shops, they will.
Ah, okay.
I mean, Chicago Northwestern is a pretty popular rail line in Chicago area. So.
You remember Regis Browder, right? Regis Browder was an engineer that worked with us at Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him as a student engineer on the Wisconsin Central on an ore train with the Jennies out of Fond du Lac. We ended up having to double the hill.
Oh.
And then we had a drawbar a permanent drawbar between the Jennies, ripped out. Yeah.
Oh, not a permanent one.
Yeah, and then it was the most horrendous trip I've ever made with anybody. And after the drawbar, he wouldn't get back in the seat. He said, "I'm not running it anymore." I said, "Regis," "you've already done as bad as you can do. I mean, come on." But no, I have to run it back to Schiller. But yeah, those are tough trains to run, especially like this. The Wisconsin Central is the old Sioux line.
Yeah.
And they didn't know cuts. They didn't know how to make cuts. They just ran everything over the hills. So that was the topography. It's really hilly. Starting out of Fond du Lac, you're up and down, up and down. Up the hill slow, down the hill fast.
Oh, yeah.
Set the air. Early.
You know what? Who else?
So true, because the tonnage.
Another person who might have done Pensy in New York Central, I think, was Howard Fogg as a artist.
Yeah.
I love his artwork.
By the way, thank you. That's the name I was thinking of.
There you go.
Couldn't say it, but I was thinking.
It took me a while to think of it. I needed some pills.
I'm putting together a presentation for Blackhawk. Originally, I wanted to do it online on YouTube, but I got lazy. So hopefully when we start meeting again in September, it's going to be the art of railroading.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
And I'm going to cover like the full gamut of all the different kinds of art that shows up in railroading, everything from the early impressionist paintings to the railroad artists, to model railroad catalogs. Some awesome model railroad catalogs.
Well, there's 2 books that you should look for if you like cooking. James Porterfield. He's a columnist for Railfan magazine, has been for a while, and he teaches down in Elkins, West Virginia, and he works with the railroad down there, and he always writes stories on different artists and stuff like that in Railfan magazine. And I'd like to get a hold of him because I got a picture that was given to me of a big boy. And it's oil print. It's an oil transfer print. And with a few impediments put on it. The artist's name is Webb, and I can't get his first name on there. I think it's Roger, but I can't find anything on the gentleman. Yes, I tried to look on the computer when it did let me work. Anyway, but the picture's beautiful. And I'm trying to get a hold of Porterfield. I wrote him an email and stuff, so maybe he can tell me. But there's a like out at DuPage, which will start up again in August. There was always a guy out there with artwork selling that he's done with pen and ink and pencil.
Oh, speaking of railroad art, Chicago Railroad History Month poster by artist Mitch Markovitz. Very noted.
Oh, definitely.
Very notable railroad artist.
Is it a new picture, or is
It's
one that you did last year?
Well,
last
it's
year.
the original
same.
one.
Yeah.
I think you bought a
Okay.
couple of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just mentioned it for the one or two people out there in Radio Land.
That has not yet.
They bought it. Come on, buy it.
Hey, by the way, I did get a very nice compliment from somebody who listens to our program, goes on YouTube and listens to it, and enjoys it.
That's one.
That's one.
Told you we got one out there.
So out there in Radio Land, thank you very much for listening or going to YouTube and listening, as we are no longer on the radio.
I know a friend of mine has contacted me. He started listening to it.
Yeah.
And you'll see his comments in there that he likes something. His name's,
Close friend, huh? Very close. Very, very, very close.
Fruit of the Loom.
It has,
That's okay. We'll believe you, Brian. You don't have to come up with a name yet. But do call us at 3 o'clock in the morning when you remember it.
yeah,
Right.
I will. Oh.
What else you got there in your little magic pile of books?
Okay, why don't we... I got some stories here, okay?
Stories.
Go
okay.
for it.
Is this Story Corner?
Yeah.
Story Corner with Brian.
Amtrak restores Hiawatha service. Selects Siemens to build inner-city train sets.
You got that one.
Hmm?
I said we got that one.
Yeah. Well, then I won't read it then.
Yeah, I'll read it because it'll be repetitious. We'll be getting complaints for our one listener.
Yeah, I know. Don't want to do that.
Or our two listeners.
But how about Midwest mayors seek extension of Amtrak Hiawatha service?
Oh, where's it going to?
All right.
All right.
Oh, they want to...
Mayors want Amtrak's Hiawatha line, which now operates between Chicago and Milwaukee, to be extended to Minneapolis, St. Paul, with a stop at Madison.
Anaheim, Azusa, and
Cucamonga! 5 Midwest mayors are urging federal transportation officials to support a proposed extension of Amtrak's passenger rail line through the upper Midwest. In a letter to U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Buttigieg?
Buttigieg.
Yep.
Buttigieg.
Okay, Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
All of a sudden, Buckaroo Banzai comes in to mind. You ever see that movie?
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Many times.
Big Booty.
Yeah. John Big Booty.
It's Booty. And the Federal Railroad Administration acting administrator Emmett Bose, the mayors asked that the rail passenger be top priority in the Biden administration's infrastructure proposal known as American Jobs Plan, as well as the current Fixing America's Surface Structure Transportation, the FAST Act, reauthorization legislation that expires September 30th. Mayors were, letter was signed by Mayors Lori Lightfoot of Chicago, Jacob Frey of Minneapolis, Melvin Carter of St. Paul, Tom Barrett of Milwaukee, and Satya Rhodes Conway of Madison, Wisconsin. Specifically, they want Amtrak's Hiawatha line, which currently operates between Chicago and Milwaukee, to be extended to Minneapolis-St. Paul with a stop in Madison. I heard they were going to try to do Rockford, too.
Yeah, I've got the Rock. Oh no, I've got Moline here. That's what I've got.
That's a
The envisioned passenger rail service would improve regional connections between our major urban centers, facilitating the interstate travel and commerce while reducing emissions and congestion. Past actions of state governments who didn't understand the benefits of passenger rail have hurt their cities economically, the mayor said. Due to the past actions of the federal government, our infrastructure continues to lag behind the rest of the world. To counter this trend, we strongly support modernizing and expanding Midwest Rail through investments in the FAST Act reauthorization and the American Jobs Plan. The mayor's layers may be read here.
They're not going to be able to because Glenview said no.
No to increase trains.
Oh, they went and they didn't want to do the passing siding because of all the garbage trains. Amtrak to restore long-distance routes. Recall workers. Having trouble getting workers. Some people are not returning to work.
Yeah. Well,
Metro's on a big hiring spree.
that's right.
Same problem. Everybody looked at it and said, you're letting me go? Bye. I just retired. Whoops.
Yeah.
I
What do you
found
mean
something
I
better.
have to work 7 days a week on call? No.
Well, this is going to be very interesting because you got the millennials in who are in 9-to-5 mode.
Yeah, right.
They are not in the 12 on, 8 off mode. And I just don't know how they're going to do it. How
Union Pacific has a solution. Robots.
Of course.
Or don't collect the fares on the train. To hell with it.
there you go.
A robot engineer and no crew. Hey.
We'll get that one from Airplane.
Ballard fuel cells to power Sierra Northern's hydrogen switcher locomotive. Ooh. Hey, pretty picture. See?
Oh. Another ugly locomotive.
Yep. Ballard Power Systems yesterday announced it will provide fuel cell modules to the Sierra Northern Railroad to power a zero-emission switching locomotive. A purchase order for the fuel cell modules is expected to be issued by Sierra Northern by mid-year. Pilot program will be partially funded by a $4 million grant from the California Energy Commission. Sierra Northern is a freight division of a privately owned Sierra Energy Corp. Sierra plans to retire a diesel locomotive and replace it with a zero-emission switching locomotive powered by 200 kilowatt of Ballard's FC Move HD fuel cell. That's a mouthful. Module involving integration of hydrogen storage together with advanced battery systems, controlled technologies, Ballard officials said in a press release. Ballard plans to deliver the fuel cell modules to Sierra by 2022. A short line intends to put the locomotive into service in 2023, they said. The new hydrogen-fueled switching locomotive will displace the need for conventional diesel, which will help improve the air quality, local air quality, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, odor, and noise. The program will establish a platform for widespread deployment in California, where more than 260 switching locomotives and up to 500 interstate locomotives are now in service. Ballard will participate in the program with multi-company team, provide application engineering, and field support through a 6-month demonstration. The switching locomotive will be refueled at a new hydrogen station to be constructed by the Royal Dutch Shell Company. We are pleased to partner with this great team to build and test this innovative, zero-emission switching locomotive. We believe this project will lead the switching locomotive industry in an emission-free pathway to all ports in the state of California. We don't care about the other places.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. If California were to legislate that all they could have is zero-emission locomotives in their state, and they got to the border, you'd have a situation like you had back when they were first considering electrifying all the railroads in Chicago. They would have gotten to the edge of Chicago and would have had to switch to steam locomotives.
Yep.
And there's a problem here.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what's going to happen with the robot trains. They'll have the humans take it to a point,
Yeah.
get out, click the switch, notify the guy, send the train on its way. Here comes another robot train coming in. They get on, throw the switch, put it back in manual, take it into the urban area. He's laughing.
He's laughing. Yeah.
This is what's going to happen.
No.
They got the trucks already doing that.
And then there'll be some little, geek in a darkened office somewhere looking at a screen, running his train.
Well, hell, you could,
all these model railroaders would be in seventh heaven. No?
Yeah.
Like they got a leg up. Hey, I got experience.
the best part is, you could hack any car on the road right now because none of them are protected.
Right.
You got the right stuff, which you can order from China, by the way. You can sit there with a laptop and sit over like the Kennedy Expressway. Hey, watch this. Beep. Turn the wheel to the left and cause a 9-car pileup. For real. They're not protected, the systems in the car right now.
So let me interrupt here with something about autonomous trains. This is from Omaha, Nebraska, the home of Uncle Pete, better known as the Union Pacific Railroad. How can railroads compete with autonomous or electric trucks that would dramatically reduce the cost of trucking? Ultimately, our answer to autonomous trucks is, what else? Autonomous trains. Union Pacific CEO Lance Fritz says, I hope they don't go on the Fritz.
Yes.
A first step toward automation is, of course, reducing crew size where feasible, Fritz said during a Railroad Investors Day Tuesday. I'm sure the investors were slipping on their salivation. UP invested in autonomous trucking company True Simple in December to keep tabs on the technology, and so it can test driverless rigs for intermodal drayage service, Fritz says. Too Simple, which runs autonomous trucks in the Southwest with a driver aboard who can step in if necessary, plans to make its first driverless revenue move this fall. Yeah, please warn us in advance. Analysts say that autonomous rigs could threaten nearly a third of the traffic that currently moves by rail. Electric trucks are significantly cheaper to operate than diesel rigs and are more likely to arrive sooner and in greater numbers than driverless rigs, according to consulting firm Oliver Wyman. Either would erode rail's cost advantage over trucks. I always thought they operated on the volume thing. Using the positive train control platform we've already invested in, we believe the ability to reduce crew size is in our future, Fritz says. This provides for a safer and more sustainable method of transportation. Okay.
We got 2 people in the cab. That's it.
Well, maybe one of them maybe they'll split the pay or something and help the railroads out. Certainly from a public safety standpoint, running an autonomous train on a fixed track seems much safer than running 18-wheelers without drivers on our highways. National negotiations between the Class 1 railroads and rail labor are in their second year. Reducing the size of train crews from 2 to 1 is on the table. Unions have long opposed further reductions in crew size and argued that moving to autonomous trains would pose service and safety issues. We are committed to at least engaging seriously in the conversation of getting to a crew size consensus deal where we are prepared on the right when we are prepared on the right territory, we can reduce the number of people in the cab of a locomotive to match the work, Fritz says.
Oh, see now, we're going to go from 200 to 300. Good. Eliminate guy. We're going to 400. Another one. Going to 500. -1.
UP envisions using ground-based roving conductors who would be responsible for several trains within their service territories. Okay, you have a 200-mile territory and 20 trains in there. Take care of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're not gonna be paying lots of people to drive around in cars or trucks or whatever. They'll give you a truck and a knuckle and some air hoses.
Yeah.
We think we've got a lot of positives to it, Fritz said on the railroad earnings call last month. First and foremost is a lifestyle improvement for half of the cab locomotive in that circumstance. What, unemployment? That's a lifestyle improvement? Where do they get this stuff from? They would think this stuff up in their sleep.
I mean, they...
Oh, here we go.
There's
Hey, I do that, and I don't have that problem. I still have my wits about me. Instead of working unpredictable hours in the cab, he explains, conductors would instead work regular shifts and sleep in their own beds every night, and UP would see its crew costs fall. Fritz says UP must do 3 things to maintain the railroad's cost advantage against autonomous trucks. Go to one-person crews and eventually autonomous operation, reduce fuel consumption, and ensure the railroad's transportation plan is as efficient as possible. All 3 of us are going to keep us in front of the trucks. No, the trucks will be in front of you and you run into them. Okay.
Well, that's where I see a lot of problems.
Is there a flaw in their plan?
Well,
There's a slight flaw here, right?
just okay.
But they'll do it anyways. That's the thing.
How do you do your guideway?
They have positive train control.
No.
It works flawlessly. You know that, don't you?
No,
No, he's talking about the trucks.
trucks.
I don't know.
All right.
How you gonna do
I
the
can
guideway?
explain the technology. It's still
I can-
flawed.
I can explain it too.
Okay, they've had the cars run into white
And-
trucks because it couldn't tell the difference between the snow on the ground and the truck in front of it because it was all white.
Very good.
Okay, so there's still flaws in it, but the
They are
technology
flaws.
says look for the edge and stay in the middle.
Pay
That's what the technology does.
No, here's a solution. Paint everything black.
That'll work too. Cow in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Well, if we're in the coal mine country, yeah, well, the snow will be black, no problem. All right.
Coal's going
But
away.
we have a lot of people out there that aren't not playing with all marbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with a lot of those guys at the railroad.
Well, some of the jobs we had, you had to be like that. True. But what about the people that are tech savvy that will be employed by other people to say, screw this up?
Yeah, they'll be employed by the Canadian National. Here's a CP train. Make it stop.
But see, no, with
I
the
know where you're
roads,
going with this.
Well,
It really will be very easy to cause an accident. One truck is all you need.
One train is all you need.
That's true. Depending upon the area you're going through.
Yeah, get one of them bomb trains.
You know, would you want an autonomous train, your tracks in and out of here? Would you want it to be autonomous?
I don't want to be autonomous at all. But then, I'm a union guy, so I believe that
Okay,
a 2-person
I mean,
crew is the safest thing to
Well,
do.
I like the rook, Safety is first.
Right.
That's what's in our rule book.
Except when it costs money.
But that doesn't say that.
No.
But see, our safety is supposed to come first.
Right.
And even if you went autonomous, you're not looking at safety.
I never finished that up the hill slow, down the hill fast. Profits first, safety last.
Here's the problem, okay? It's the same thing the politicians have. Which looks glamorous? Fix the sewers because they're overflowing and broken, or built a new highway and stand there and cut the ribbon to let the cars on it. That's the problem. And right now, it's glamorous for the industry to say, we're going to automate the railroads, we're going to have driverless trains, crewless trains, it's going to be cost efficient. Wall Street likes the glamour, not the practical. And that's where the thing lies. As long as everybody's jumping on the bandwagon saying, we got to computerize, we got to automate, we got to go driverless, that's the problem. It has nothing to do whether it's safe, whether it's practical or anything. It's the glamour thing of the moment.
We can sit here and we are, hello, Mr. Small.
All right.
I mean, I went to one of my Walmarts to get something, and they have no more checkers. Everything is self-check now.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? I stopped going there because I still like talking to the person playing with the merchandise. That's supposed.
That's only because she smiles pretty at you.
Yes. That's, supposed efficiency. I don't see any more. If that's same as, filling up your own gas tank versus New Jersey and Oregon still makes a tenant come out to do it.
Yes.
Which one's better? I don't know. In some instances, maybe it's better you do it. Sometimes it's better for the computer to do it. And maybe sometimes neither.
I know. Well, they see.
I'm Kevin today.
They actually used to have a lot of. They tried it without, and you had a lot of people who were slightly. I don't have enough cash. They'll fill up, take off.
Well, I know what the future is. It's flying cars and everybody works at Spacely Sprockets.
Jackson!
Yeah, but he only put in a 3-hour day.
Oh,
and he was exhausted.
well, he was probably one of those conductors that drove around in a truck.
But then again, we got other states now following California.
Yeah?
Yep. Texas counties sue FRA over Dallas to Houston bullet train project.
That's interesting because
Now
they just
this-
let a contract
they
for the
just-
electronics.
Huh?
They just let a contract go for
Yes, they did.
electronics.
I almost bought that one too.
Well, it's
But-
time to stop it now then.
Well, see, that's just it. That's what they did. After they actually got it passed, they already had a group of people waiting.
Yeah. Waiting in the wings. They had their lawyers
Oh.
all warmed up.
NIMBYs are everywhere.
You know,
So beware.
oh, beware.
6 Texas counties, several landowners, and an anti-high-speed rail group, have filed lawsuit against the federal administration and the U.S. Department of Transportation over proposed high-speed rail line between Dallas and Houston. At issue is Texas Central Railroad's proposal to construct and operate a high-speed systems line along a dedicated, fully sealed corridor between two major cities using Central Japan Railway's Tokaido Shinkansen high-speed rail technology. By design, the proposed Shinkansen technology is not interoperable with other existing transportation infrastructure, which means it cannot run on any other tracks. And no other trains can run on its tracks, the lawsuit states. As a result, Texas Central's project would be incompatible with and disconnecting from existing or future rail lines, the lawsuit states. The lawsuit also states that the Shinkansen technology does not comply with existing rail safety regulations. But the FRA has issued a rule of peculiar applicability and establishes safety standards that apply only to the Shinkansen technology. The lawsuit takes issue how the FRA evaluated potential environmental impacts under the National Environmental Protection Act. The lawsuit, which may here be read, is the latest in a string of legal maneuvers filed in an effort to stop the project. In the fall of 2020, the FRA released the final RPA and record of decision for Texas Central, bringing the private company's proposal to build the Dallas to Houston high-speed line closer to construction. The PPA provides regulatory framework for the railroad, establishing a comprehensive set of safety regulations that will govern the HSR systems, signal and track set control, track rolling stock, operating rules, practices, system qualifications, maintenance, Texas Central officials said at the time. That's it.
So,
Chinese
Chinese technology, eh?
Japanese.
Oh, Japanese. Okay, yeah.
Shikazen.
Shikazen.
Gesundheit.
JNR. JNR I'll go with.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yes, it is.
Ride's
beautiful.
Throwing a plug here for Japan Railway Journal. It's on every Thursday at 9:30, 3:30, and 10:30 on NHK TV. If you get broadcast TV, channel 56.2. And great program about Japanese railroads. And the Japanese are rail fans.
Oh.
To the core.
Oh, big time.
Big
time.
I think when you're born, you're like, you have to go out, they pick you up and they hold you up and make you look at a train.
That little picture.
Yeah.
I got a bigger size of that picture.
Yeah.
too.
2 weeks ago, they had a really good show about this one railroad that has a steam locomotive that they use in tourist service. And they went through the whole thing about how they maintain it. And,
Oh, it's the logging one?
no, it wasn't the logging one.
Oh, because they got a logging one. All the locomotives were built by Baldwin.
Yeah, right.
But I enjoyed my 3 years there when I was stationed there.
Yeah.
And I got there when they opened the tunnel going from Honshu to Hokkaido. Actually, the tracks go all the way to Sapporo. 33 miles long. It's really nice when you go through in a billet train. Trust me.
Were you in there about 5 minutes?
Yep, about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wonderful trip. Wonderful trip. The people do use the rail systems. You know,
Although they are having...
Godzilla and King Kong love the rail systems.
Yeah, right.
Tried to use them for roller skates, didn't quite work.
Use them for toothpicks. After they eat all those people, they got to get it out of their teeth.
Yeah, I know. I finally did find a copy of the original King Kong versus Godzilla.
You know, the Japanese, their railroads, they're having problems, number one, because of COVID, of course, like everybody else. But they have a population decline. And a lot of the railroads have stopped providing service in certain areas, you know. And the towns work with the local governments and the national government and with the railroads to try to keep the trains going.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle.
Yeah, they're having it's a shame, too, because...
Yeah, it's a great, you know, of course, like this. We had a great railroad system, too. Look what we did to it.
Well, we let the politicians play with
No,
it.
we gave it to Uncle Pete.
Well, it's not
And
just
Hunter Thompson.
You somebody like that, yeah. But see, that's the thing. We had people come in. They made the big decision in the 50s. Well, we don't want railroaders running it. We'll bring in businessmen.
Right. Yeah. Hi, I'm a graduate from business school.
I mean,
Okay, you're the president.
It's just like right up until the 60s. you had that wonderful streetcar system in L.A. Guess what? Streetcars back in big favor again, going from Long Beach to Union Station. And they had to buy back the property that they gave up.
Yep.
To ride the red line.
And built it at 4 times the original cost.
Yes!
That's progress, Brian.
Yes, it is.
Progress in America.
But, you know, and it's
Goes back to the what's more glamorous, a 10 lane highway or a little subway?
Well, remember how the superhighways came into being in the 50s.
There's a great book about that. Superhighway Super Hoax. That's what it's called. Came out in the 60s. If you can find it, read it. It explains how we were sold the highways.
Well, who's the one that put it up? The man who actually wanted it and was always with the automobile from World War One.
I like Ike.
That's right. That's exactly. And where did they get the money from?
What?
To build the highways.
Our retirement fund?
From
Social Security?
Yep, the grateful taxpayers.
That's right. The Social Security. That's where it came
That's
from.
where they borrowed it. They put an
the old people,
IOU
they
in
die
there, and that
fast
was it.
anyways. They don't need this money. Yeah, they're looking at the insurance tables and seeing how soon people die. Everybody was dying at 65 back then. They figured, well, we won't be paying any of this stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, that's
true.
You know, it's just like they talk about the pollution that the high-speed train's going to do. I mean,
Pollution?
how these people keep winding up and coming up with these lawsuits.
Well, you know,
I mean, they're actually
logic and honesty don't matter. I mean, that's been pretty obvious over the last decade.
Yeah, well, look at that fight up in Glenview, just for a passing sighting. No, you're going to set trains over there. It's going to destroy the neighborhood. You got to
Move.
You know, it's just like
Those people got the kind of money
but
they
the
can
same-
pack up and move.
yeah. Well, it's just like doing the Lackawanna cutoff, and all the lawsuits that have been going in on that is because, you know.
Well, there is hope, though.
They actually said it in their statement. Them garbage trains are going to come through here at 100 miles an hour. I'm sitting there going,
Only if they're going for a quit.
I know.
We've got a half hour here. Let's get going.
But see, the California, the line's going to be elevated. It's going to be electric.
Well, isn't gonna kill endangered birds flying in front of the trains and stuff?
Well, we'll talk about that, when they fly in front of the planes.
Or the windmills. 6,000 a year. But there is hope. Look what happened in Barrington. Barrington is still fighting with the CN to elevate or to press the tracks through their village and stop the trains. And the trains are still running through and they're still blocking the crossings. They're still fighting about it.
They're part of a lawsuit now to keep the CN from getting a hold of KCS.
Yep.
Because they're claiming that the increased traffic from that merger would totally mess up the suburb.
Oh yeah,
they've got charts and graphs.
Wait.
Estimated number of extra trains that are going to be coming through.
What it is, they don't want all the visitors when they come across the Mexican border
sneaking on those trains.
Yeah, go up to Barrington where life is good.
Oh my, that is so funny. Who says we don't have good comedy in this city?
Oh yeah, well.
Second City. I mean, come on.
What you got, Doug?
Ooh, I got some stuff. You can wrap it up with my stuff. Okay. Well, the South Shore took a step backwards. They rejected all their bids for their double track project. The original estimate was supposed to be $228 million, and the two bids they received was for $399 million and $424 million. So they threw the bids out, and they're saying, "Oh, well, we're going to redesign and respec it out."
Now that they've closed the Michigan City station and they're not picking up passengers anymore.
Yep.
So that should add another couple years to
Yep. So that's where that stands. There's a bridge in North Dakota called the Bismarck-Mandan Rail Bridge that was supposed to be up for preservation. And BNSF said, sure, get the money, you could rehabilitate it all you want. Well, apparently this has been dragging out for some time because now the BNS sent a letter to the Coast Guard, which I don't understand that part. It's North Dakota.
all them river boats.
Yeah, but basically said either get the money or we're going to fix the bridge ourselves, and the heck with preservation. They're tired of waiting for them to come up with the design, how to preserve it, and so it can still be used for transportation.
Well, the Coast Guard does have jurisdiction
Yes,
over
they do.
the waterways and stuff.
I know,
so
but it's just so funny because
Yeah,
I read
right.
that. Hey,
Nobody thinks of
North Dakota is in the middle of the country, surrounded by land, so here comes the Coast Guard. Got a little raft.
aren't they considering building battleships in North Dakota?
Yeah, I don't know.
Over to the shipyard?
could be. Yeah.
Okay, a little short line known as the Mississippi Gulf and Ship Island down in Alabama is going to be reactivated to serve an industrial park. And the railroad that was designated as the operator for this is the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific. Chicago, Rock Island, Pacific, guy bought the Mississippi Delta Railroad down in Alabama, renamed it because the Chicago, Rock Island, Pacific trademark and stuff was public domain, so he recopyrighted it. He's painted his locomotives in the old Rock Island, the stylish R.
Yeah.
Nice bright blue, brand new, and now he's running, and the official name is Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, their tagline is, we don't go to any of these places.
Here's one you'll like. The Reading and Northern up in Pennsylvania is going to start reactivating passenger excursions between WB, Wilkes-Barre, and Jim Thorpe.
Mm-hmm.
Probably next year. They said they need to spend about $5 million to upgrade their tracks. But the Reading and Northern's on board with it.
Wasn't that one of the railroads that they tried to put out of business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The town
There's more of the
decided they
article
didn't
here.
want them anymore, and then they suddenly realized they were worth a lot of money to them.
Well, yeah. Well, what they were wanting to put out of business was the tourist train,
Yeah.
and one of their leaders decided
Quote,
to invoke something really obscure and
And here's a story that's not rail, it's sort of rail related. Apparently, New York City has decided, or is trying, to institute surge pricing on their bridges leading into the city. And they were talking about how when the drivers roll up to the bridge with your electronic card, you could, on a busy day, not spend $1 or $2. It could be a $3,000 charge to get into the city.
What?
Yep, they're going to do surge pricing on their toll bridges. And now New Jersey's all bent out of shape about it because they said, well, you're discriminating against us. I just thought, we were talking about, trying to force people onto transit. Now, this comes from a city that 3 years ago went after Uber for surge pricing on busy days and told them you can't do that. So now they said, well, wait a minute. Uber did that. We could do this on our bridges. Look how much money we'll get. I'm not kidding you. It says right here. A Jersey-style fight that federal and state legislature threatened against New York City's congestion pricing plan that could charge drivers a fee up to $3,000 in addition to the tolls to drive on Lower Manhattan. It's surge pricing.
Well, if New York City is looking for one way to have businesses move out of New York City,
yeah, that's going to be
they've
quick.
just found that New Jersey's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be advertising cheap office space.
It's happening in San Francisco.
Yeah.
The commercial real estate just dropped 25% in all the major buildings.
Yeah.
that's a big hit.
That
Yep.
is.
The city's
Yes,
scrambling.
it is.
And all those people that bought those expensive homes in San Francisco. What a world.
Hi, I got a question for you guys on operating locomotives. Watching the rail fan, every so often you see 6, 7 locomotives. Now I understand they're probably moving them from one place to another place that needs them. The question is, they had one on there that was 28 locomotives in one string.
That's
Yeah.
a power move.
The question is, though, are those things idling? Are they shut off and just running in neutral? Or are they actually all running as one unit?
No.
That's what I wanted to find out.
No. They'll have a couple running, but all the rest are.
Okay. Because I saw one on the BNSF.
Basically, you set them up and they're a boxcar.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
set the air controls on the locomotive and it operates
Okay,
like a
that's-
regular
that's
We've
what
got
I
a
was-
way to set the air brakes so they can have the pipeline
Sure.
go through.
Well, that's what I wanted to
It
clear
doesn't
up because I was
affect
watching the
brakes.
comments and go, "Oh, they got them all running. Look at all the waste of fuel." And I'm like, "No. I'm pretty sure they threw them in neutral
Lord,
or
if you
The only
disconnected
time I
the engine
seen
or
where
something."
all locomotives were running on a power move was when the locomotives were running on the Pensy, and they were all electrics, and they were going up and down, especially in the winter, cleaning the ice off the lines and such.
Yeah,
They'd run electric from New York to either Metuchen or Princeton, and then back up, or they go all the way to Trenton and then go back up. And then you got a whole bunch that are over in Pennsylvania, Maryland, going all the way to Washington.
Here's the rest of that article. There's a switch on the locomotive that basically isolates us electrically. The idle
Okay.
switch. You can run it in idle, run the locomotive in idle, and have it not load. And sometimes they do that in case you have to put more power on at some point instead of having to go back, restart the engine, and do that. You just go back and
Right. Well, I see every so often on Virtual Rail Fan, you'll see them bringing like one of the commuter locomotives for some other agency through.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure that's not
no.
just contributing power.
No.
It's running as a freight car
Yeah.
because usually it's the first one.
Right.
It's at the end of the running ones because they're like 5 or 6 running because you can hear them on the camera.
Yeah.
And then there's that one and there's all the freight cars.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, they probably do the same thing when you do a locomotive move. Now, that one that was 28 locomotives, that was impressive.
You know, some engineer in his wildest dreams wanted to put every one of them suckers online. Of course, now they monitor everything electronically. So they know when you've got stuff that's online that's not supposed to be online. And they're really big on fuel efficiency. Really big on fuel efficiency. They watch your braking. If you're power braking, that's a no-no now. Railroading has changed a lot, especially with their ability to monitor you and tell you how to run your train.
I'm sorry. I'm coming down Cajon Pass. Oh, trust me, power's going to be on. I've seen what happened. I was actually going down the day they had that big wreck in the Cajon Pass.
Oh, really?
With the potash.
Yeah.
I mean, I was coming around the curve, coming down, and that train was down.
In the ditch,
Oh,
so to speak.
I'm surprised nobody died.
Yeah.
And then a week later, just as they're finally getting it all cleaned up, they hit a fuel line.
Oh, yeah.
They had a line of jet fuel because it went to March Air Force Base, which was on the other side of the highway, and they went down and the ditch digger went a little too far down, and spark goes boom.
Guess they didn't call Day Julie, huh?
Well, the contractor claimed they were told there was nothing underneath there.
Yeah,
Quite possible.
And that's why they were doing what they were doing to clean up.
I'll tell you what, though, a lot of people were surprised.
Surprise,
Made barbecuing easier.
Let's see. Durango Silverton starting up this month. They're rebuilding another locomotive for oil. They have the 2 locomotives from the White Bass and Yukon, though they haven't been painted yet. And they got 2 more that they're having built, brand new. The East Broad Top is open for business. May 1st was the opening of the Mantua and Pikes Peak. They got all the track laid. They got the cars back actually a year earlier than they thought from the rebuild. So it's going up and down. Good places to go.
So when California insists that all the tourist railroads with steam locomotives convert to electric, will they convert the steam locomotives to electric? Will they provide them with smoke pellets to keep the authentic?
Yeah, they have the guys. They'll go to Lionel, get the heating.
I'll tell you what, those special effects departments in the movie studios, they'll be back in business.
But it has to be non-polluting. Non-polluting.
Oh, picky.
Come on, we want a clean environment.
He's just pouting because he couldn't take his train home. He had to leave it on the tracks.
I got my hat, though. I'm official. We calling it quits? Is that what we're doing?
John.
Wake up. Wakey, John.
It's scary when the electrical engineer falls asleep.
As our express comes into the terminal, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all our past episodes. You can also sample some of the other fine programs that are being offered. Till next time, when we journey to Chicago Junction, this is your announcer, Brian Blue, saying, happy rails to you, and good night, Mr. Ryan, wherever you are.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, May the 12th, the year 2021. Chicago Junction was produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment, Mr. John Chikanda. Tonight's broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, May the 12th, the year 2021. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening.